Hello, and welcome back to HunterTuned. Today we're going to be messing with the Mustang again, and we're going to be adding some goodies to it. But before we start messing with the Mustang, I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of this car. This is the BMW that I just got done tuning. It's on a Mega Squirt with LS coils and like 450cc injectors, whole set HX35, stock 2.5 liter long block with ARP head studs, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Car tuned out pretty good. We had some issues with some cold start stuff, a little bit of drivability, and a little bit of rich air fuels, kind of in the higher RPM range, because the car was never really tuned for those cells because it had a boost control issue. The guy brought this car in complaining of boost creep, like the boost was kind of running away on it, and I discovered that the solenoid on the car it's a 4-port solenoid, I believe, and they just had it configured wrong on the ECU. So no, I'm curious, is it a 4-port? No, it is a 3-port controller. So they had the 3-port max solenoid just configured wrong on the ECU. I had to go through the parameters on there and kind of reset everything up, and then I turned the boost control off. It has like a 5 or 6 pound spring. We got it tuned on 5 or 6 pounds of boost perfectly. I think it's on like 15 degrees of ignition, and then we bumped it up to 10 pounds of boost, the 16 degrees of ignition about, and like an 11.5 air fuel. It's on pump 93. So I told him, I said, you know, I don't like pump gas. I hate it. I would prefer this car to be on E85, and then we can tune it for like 14 pounds, make like 400 or more horsepower. This thing's sitting around 360 to 380 right now. But it is tuned out perfectly. Everything is running great. You fire the key up, it starts right up. Everything seems to be very good with this setup. So he's actually on his way to come pick it up. But in the meantime, we're going to be messing with the Mustang. I have a 4-port max solenoid that we are going to be installing onto the car today, and going to get some boost control through the ECU, kind of just like that BMW setup and a lot of the Hondas that we do. They're all controlled by a max solenoid, which is just like an air valve, electronic solenoid valve. This is what it looks like. I actually went to the store and got some barb fittings to go to a little bit bigger size hose, because this size hose is what is on the wastegate and what is on my intake manifold. That way I'm not stepping down the size of the hose or anything like that. This one is just for the breathing of the solenoid. It has exhaust intake 1 and 2 solenoids, or A and B I should say. And the exhaust one you leave open. The intake one goes to the turbo, B goes to the bottom, and A goes to the top of the gate. And that's how we have to plumb this thing up. I just have to figure out where I want to mount this, and just kind of deciding on where I want to mount the solenoid, because it's kind of tight. I don't really want to mount it in front of the turbo, although that would be the most convenient place to put it. I don't really want to mount it to the rad. I mean, I could mount it to the radiator, but I don't think that would be good for the solenoid, having it sit on the heat like that.
Hey dude, that'd be so rad.
Yeah, it would be rad. So, gonna try to find a place to mount this sucker, and then we're gonna plumb up some clear vinyl tubing here. I know Christian Morrison built hates clear vinyl tubing. He posted on Facebook the other day. Don't use clear vinyl tubing on cars, and I 100% agree with you, dude. Don't use clear vinyl tubing on cars, because a lot of people will, you know, just run their vacuum lines and they'll touch the exhaust and shit. And this stuff, when it gets hot, it gets very like malleable and kind of soft when it gets hot. But it's $2 for 10 feet of it, so it's kind of hard.
Super hot, and then it gets brittle.
Yeah, if you get it real hot, it'll get brittle. But anyways, I've ran this on cars before and have had no issues, but you have to be smart about where you run the line. If you run it next to the exhaust and stuff like that and it gets real hot, it's not going to work out for you. But I mean, I've had some clear vinyl on this car for fucking 2 years now, and it's been fine. Like I said, as long as it's routed properly and like away from like heat and stuff like that, it's usually okay. Michael, you want to show him your cylinder head now that you got it torn apart? Michael's actually shipped. I think you don't even have anything left now. Do you have anything left off your car to sell? I think he sold everything. He sold the valve springs and retainers today, and he took a cylinder head apart, and we found out that like 3 of the valves were extremely bent, and he actually built a little thing out of it as a memorabilia for the D series. Is that supposed to be a D?
That's supposed to be.
It doesn't look like a D. I'm sorry. But anyways, that's the broken valve. That's one of the bent ones. as you can see, that's flat, and that
Yeah,
goes like that.
We didn't bend anything or cut anything.
Yeah, so he just made a little memorabilia piece with the welder. There's a spark plug that, you know, went see you later. And yeah, so anyways, Michael's shipping the rest of his Honda stuff out. And yeah, we're gonna get done with the Mustang here. So we'll catch up with you guys in a minute. Alrighty guys, so I got the boost controller, max solenoid all plumbed into the car. We have, I followed a couple instructions online, and B is to the bottom, just like I thought. A is to the top of the gate. And then the intake is to the intake manifold or the compressor outlet on the turbo. We have the plumbing correct here, and then I ran both wires into the car. I ran a red wire for the 12 volt, and then a blue wire to the ECU. So I ran those wires in. Sorry if you guys can't see this, I'll get a flashlight. So I just kind of zip tied everything into the bumper here. Ran the lines down to the wastegate there. And then these are the wiring that's going into the car. The blue goes to ECU, red goes to 12 volt switched power. So 12 volt switched power is going to the one side of the solenoid, and then the blue wire is going to this fuel pump wire, which I actually had to de-pin the ECU harness, and I'm not using the fuel pump wire because I have my fuel pumps on a switch on the car. So I actually took the fuel pump circuit wire and I removed it from the pin here, and then I shoved it into the black pin, pin 22 I think it is, something like that, and it's just a boost output. So the Mega Squirt has a output for boost. It's labeled boost for boost controller. So I put it into that pin. This ECU normally does not come with the pin, any wire in there. So you have to take a wire from another one that you're not using, or if you have spares when you buy the kit, they give you a couple extras. But anyways, I pinned it into there for the blue wire, and then the other one is just going to a switch, 12 volt. And we got the solenoid working. We actually tested it with the Mega Squirt. You can actually go in on the Mega Squirt and test the outputs on the computer, which is pretty cool, just like you can on Honda. So I did that. We went into CAN bus test modes over here, and then you can go to like output test mode right here, and this enables the test mode. You just got to click enable once it's plugged into the car, and then you have your PP3 boost right here, and then you can pulse it and change your frequency until it sounds right. And that's what we did. 39 hertz sounded right out of the drop downs here that we figured out. So we went into the boost control here, we turned on boost control enabled, and then we went to solenoid frequency range, and I set it at mid, which makes you able to adjust the frequency. That's what I'm used to on Hondas, at least. I always am able to adjust the frequency. So we set it kind of low. We set it at 20, 30, 48, and 50, and it still is not working. So I don't know what's going on there. We took the car out after I got all this hooked up, and I set it up at 30 hertz. And then I also took the boost table switching, and I turned this off. This was on like, I forget what tables this thing was on. But it had like an option to, oh yeah, it was on blend curve, which I don't think I need. Blend curve was, it's just for like another map to run it on, which I just want to run like a fixed duty cycle. So I just turned the boost table switching off. So the boost table switching is off, and I tried the polarity inverted or normal with no change. But like I said, when we tested the output, the solenoid buzzed and everything is working there, and it's plumbed correctly. But anyways, so I have the boost control pin at the boost pin right there. And then under boost control duty target, this is the duty cycle, and I just had it zeroed out to make sure that the car was still going to run wastegate pressure. So with this zeroed out and those settings I played with a bunch. I didn't touch the boost control duty, but I touched the frequency, and I played with all that stuff. Inverted or non-inverted polarity there, and it still would always kind of run past the wastegate. Like, wastegate on this car is around 12 pounds, and I was just trying to, I did a couple pulls with it, and it just kept going past 12. Like, it would hit the boost cut that I had set at like 18. and that was with the table, the boost control duty here at 0. I don't know if it's got to have duty cycle for it to work, like, you know, 10 or something like that to enable it to work or not. I might have to play with that tomorrow, but if any of you know about the boost control settings on this thing, I would like to know. This is a 4-port solenoid, and like I said, it just kept running away. Like, no matter what I did to the settings, it just kept running away. But that was with the table at 0, and I'm thinking maybe that the table needs some duty cycle to get the solenoid to actually do something. But yeah, like I said, even with, it was kind of weird though, because even with the boost control enable off, if I turned this completely off and I did a pull, it still did the same thing. Like, it kept running away on the boost level there. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. We got to figure that out. And then we also had another issue today with the Simple Stage bump box kit. So I bought a Simple Stage bump box, which is just like this little handheld thing, and I was going to show you guys how to wire it and everything, but I kind of just threw it in there to test it, and the fucking thing burnt out. Like, I had it wired correctly, and I followed instructions per their latest manual. This is what they give you in the mail. They give you a bunch of these connectors, which is really nice. They give you this setup here, and then they give you this option to go check out their manual for the wiring instructions. So I followed the wiring to a T, like I did the wiring exactly how they say on the website. And the bump box, like, out of the box, like, we didn't play with any settings, and I just turned the trans brake on and I pushed my push button. This is just like a push button that I bought from AutoZone. I had all this wired in the car already, but I pulled it out. And when the trans brake was enabled, I would push this button and you could hear the solenoid click again. So I was like, okay, it's working. It's interrupting the signal here somewhere. But the more we were messing with it, I actually brought it up on power and I hit the bump, and the car didn't actually bump. It did not come forward at all. So we were like, okay, maybe we got to mess with some of the settings. So the settings on this thing, you got to, like, turn the trans brake on and then hold both of these buttons in order to go into programming mode. And then once you're in programming mode, you can hit the 2 button for it to increase the amount of bump, or 1 button for it to decrease the amount of bump. It's a super simple setup. Like, it's a kind of a foolproof thing. But as we were messing with this thing just got fire red hot, and it actually, like, burned a hole in the side of the thing here. And like I said, we had the thing wired correctly. We had everything set up properly. I went over the wiring like 10 times. I'm like, oh fuck, did I mess up a wire or something? Like, I have something wired on a wrong spot. But that wasn't the case at all. Like, we had the wiring 100% right. It just sucks because, like, if this thing burnt out, it was a fucking $100 little thing that I was trying out for these guys. But yeah, it doesn't seem to work. So I don't know if I'm just going to get a solid state relay and try that, or what I'm going to do. But yeah, today was a fail. Yeah, just a fail overall. So bump box, no go, fucking burnt out. And then the boost controller also was not working either. So the plus side though is we did take the car out and we were messing with it and boosting on it and trying to get the boost controller to work. And the hottest the car got driving down the road was 175 degrees. So that is like the coldest this thing has ever ran in its life. So that's awesome, but we still got some plan to do. We got to figure out the boost control, and we got to figure out a fucking way to bump, get this thing to bump into the beams. But yeah, shitty day, I guess. Didn't really get anywhere. Did a lot of work for nothing. That's how she goes sometimes, though. And normally I don't film this kind of stuff. What? Oh yeah. But that's how she goes sometimes, guys. You know, shit doesn't go as planned all the time. You know, and if it did, then, you know, everybody would be a mechanic. But that's just not how it is. So you got to roll with the bullshit and keep going. But hopefully, if you guys leave any comments down below, you guys were awesome the other day trying to help me get the Mustang to quit overheating, and we did indeed get it to quit overheating. But now we got to figure out how to make some horsepower and get it ready for the track, because I would like to go racing this week. Maybe Thursday. If not Thursday, we're gonna go Saturday. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. We will see you later.